The Galactic Council convenes in its Grand Hall, a place built on centuries of peace and stability. A soft, pulsing glow emanates from the room's center, where holographic displays keep the Council members informed of any movement across the galaxy. They're confident, as always. Years of prosperity have lulled them into believing that no force could ever challenge their supremacy. Reports stream in from all corners of the galaxy, routine checks, nothing out of the ordinary. Yet, amidst the usual chatter, an alert flashes. It's subtle at first, a minor anomaly detected on the outskirts of the galaxy. One of the lower-ranking members glances at the data, dismissing it as unimportant. The Council is busy discussing trade agreements and minor conflicts between lesser species, matters they've been dealing with for eons. They hardly notice. The alert grows more persistent, and now, it draws more attention. The anomaly is moving and fast. Sensors across multiple sectors pick it up. It's huge, far larger than any known ship. The Council pauses, curiosity spreading among its members. Such a vessel, moving with such speed and precision, shouldn't exist, at least not in any of the known databases. They order an immediate analysis. Moments pass. The ship's size, energy readings, and velocity all indicate one thing: this isn't a mere transport or freighter. This is a warship. A battleship, in fact, bigger than anything ever seen before. Whispers ripple through the Council chamber. How could something this large have gone undetected for so long? Where did it come from? A message is intercepted, a brief data transmission, sent directly from the ship's core. It's encoded in an ancient format, a format that hasn't been seen in centuries. The Council's translation system struggle to decode it, but when they do, the revelation sends a shockwave through the room. It's human. The Council is stunned. Humanity? That insignificant race that had been all but forgotten? The humans had been little more than a blip in the Council's long history, a species that once tried to rise but was crushed under the weight of their own weaknesses. They had begged for an alliance centuries ago, only to be left behind to deal with a war they had no hope of surviving. The Council had assumed they'd either perished or returned to their primitive ways, insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Yet here they were, with a vessel of impossible size and power, barreling toward the heart of the Council's domain. The Council shifts uneasily. The massive battleship continues its approach, now close enough that its energy signature disrupts nearby sensor grids. The vessel is unlike anything they've ever seen. It's not the product of slow, steady technological advancement. It's raw, brutal, purpose-built for war. The Council's confidence wavers for the first time in centuries. How did this happen? How could a species as primitive as humanity create something so terrifying? A debate breaks out among the Council members. Some dismiss the ship as a rogue faction, perhaps a remnant of humanity's past that somehow survived and built this abomination. Others demand immediate action, calling for their fleets to mobilize and intercept the vessel before it reaches their borders. But the real question on everyone's mind remains unspoken: what do the humans want? The ship doesn't stop. It continues its relentless approach, and now, the Council can't ignore it any longer. They send their finest ships, fleets of battle-hardened vessels, designed to withstand the most extreme conditions. These fleets have kept the peace across the galaxy for centuries. They've faced rebellions, rogue planets, and even the occasional intergalactic warlord. But they've never faced a human battleship. As the fleets approach, the Council watches closely. The human ship dwarfs the Council's fleet, its dark, angular form a testament to humanity's newfound might. The Council's fleets fan out, positioning themselves to surround the battleship, prepared to strike if necessary. They hail the ship, demanding answers, expecting a response. None comes. The tension in the Council chamber is palpable. Silence falls. The fleets hover near the human vessel, awaiting orders. Then, in a sudden flash of light, the human battleship's weapons systems come online. Energy signatures spike across the board. It's a warning, no, more than a warning. It's a display of power, a statement. Humanity doesn't need to speak. Their actions say it all. The Council's fleets hesitate. A single shot from the battleship could annihilate any one of their ships. The Council watches in disbelief as their mighty fleets, which had once maintained order in the galaxy, are rendered helpless in the face of this new power. The human ship, massive and imposing, holds its position, waiting. The Council is left with no choice but to acknowledge what is now painfully clear: they've underestimated humanity. This isn't a rogue faction. This isn't some desperate last stand from a forgotten species. This is the result of centuries of betrayal, of a species left to die, now returned with a vengeance. And the Council knows, deep down, that they might not survive what's coming next. Centuries ago, humanity stood at the edge of the Galactic Council's attention, eager to prove itself as a worthy member of the interstellar community. Their diplomats spoke with hope and ambition, seeking alliances, trade, and technology. They believed the Council's promises of peace and unity. But instead, they were betrayed. When the humans were drawn into a war with a hostile alien race, they pleaded for assistance. The Council turned its back, leaving humanity to fend for itself, deeming them expendable, a minor race unworthy of the Council's resources. It wasn't personal, just politics. After all, they were dealing with far more important matters across the galaxy. Humanity was left alone to fight an impossible war. Their colonies were ravaged, their fleets decimated, and their homeworld crippled. As the years passed, their desperation grew. Entire generations were born into conflict, fighting to survive against an enemy that outclassed them in every way. But the humans didn't die out. Instead, they adapted, as they always had. Every defeat was a lesson. Every battle was a crucible. They scavenged what technology they could from their enemies, reverse engineering alien ships and weapons, turning their enemies' strength into their own. The humans didn't just survive, they evolved. As the war dragged on, they became something new. They were no longer the hopeful, naive species that once sought the Council's approval. The fire of their betrayal burned deep within their culture, turning them into a hardened, warlike race. They became efficient, relentless, focused on one singular goal: survival at any cost. Their fleets grew stronger, their soldiers more disciplined, their weapons more advanced. They were no longer just defending themselves, they were preparing for something much bigger. Over the years, humanity withdrew from the galactic stage. They cut off contact with other species, retreating to the outer fringes of the galaxy, far from the Council's prying eyes. Rumors spread of their isolation, but the Council paid little attention. As far as they were concerned, humanity was finished, a minor footnote in their long history. They couldn't have been more wrong. In the distant reaches of space, humanity was building. They were constructing a fleet, but not just any fleet, a fleet designed to challenge the very powers that had abandoned them. This was more than just survival now. This was about revenge. For every world they lost, for every life taken in the wars, they would repay the Council in kind. But they wouldn't just lash out recklessly. Humanity had learned patience. They had learned to strike only when the time was right. The culmination of their efforts was the Titan, the massive battleship now on its way to the Council's core. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a statement. Its sheer size and power were a reflection of everything humanity had become: relentless, unyielding, and capable of unimaginable destruction. The ship's design was a testament to their brutal efficiency, built not for exploration or trade, but for war. It was a fortress, a mobile armory equipped with weapons capable of tearing through entire fleets. And it was fast, far faster than anything the Council had in its arsenal. Inside the ship, the crew operated with a cold, professional precision. They weren't here for glory. They weren't here for negotiation. Every human on board had a singular purpose: to bring the Council to its knees. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. They knew the stakes. The Council had betrayed them once, and now humanity was returning the favor. The message they carried wasn't one of peace. It wasn't an invitation for diplomacy. It was an ultimatum. The Council would pay for what they had done, and humanity would ensure that every last member of the Galactic Council knew why. There would be no misunderstanding. This wasn't just a raid or a retaliatory strike. This was a reckoning. The ship itself was a testament to humanity's transformation. It was the result of centuries of innovation and reverse engineering, incorporating alien technology from every corner of the galaxy. Shields that could withstand the most devastating energy weapons. Cannons capable of firing projectiles faster than light. Electronic warfare systems that could cripple entire fleets in seconds. Humanity had mastered the art of war, and they had done it in the shadows, far from the Council's gaze. They were ready for anything, prepared to face whatever the Council threw at them. As they closed in on the Council's capital, the crew of the Titan knew that this was the beginning of something far greater than a single battle. This was about reclaiming their place in the galaxy. No longer would they be the forgotten race, the one left to die in the cold of space. Humanity would rise not as victims, but as conquerors. They would rewrite the history of the galaxy, starting with the destruction of the very body that had cast them aside. The Council had believed that humanity was finished, that their betrayal had sealed humanity's fate. But in reality, they had only planted the seed of their own destruction. And now, centuries later, humanity was here to collect. The battleship continued its approach, unstoppable, a juggernaut fueled by centuries of vengeance. The message had already been sent. Now, all that was left was the final act. The Galactic Council is no longer filled with the calm, measured voices of its members. Panic has taken root. The human battleship continues its relentless approach, and for the first time in centuries, the Council's collective superiority is in question. They had always believed their fleets, their technology, and their combined forces were enough to deter any threat. But now, facing this unknown human vessel, they can feel the cracks in their once unshakable confidence. Frantic commands are issued. Warships are scrambled, defensive systems activated, and the capital planet prepares for an assault. But even as the Council's fleets mobilize, doubts linger in every mind. The reports coming in from the outer sectors are terrifying. Human technology is far more advanced than anything the Council had anticipated. Their once prized fleets are suddenly looking inadequate, small in comparison to the behemoth that humanity has built. They order their finest ships into position, the vanguard of the Galactic Council's armada. These are the ships that have kept the galaxy in check for millennia, symbols of their power and control. Yet as they approach the human battleship, the differences are stark. The Titan is monstrous, dwarfing even the largest vessels in the Council's fleet. Its dark hull absorbs the light around it, a menacing silhouette against the vastness of space. The Council commanders try to maintain composure, but deep down, they know they are outmatched. The first salvo is fired by the Council, an attempt to establish dominance, to remind humanity of its place. Beams of energy and volleys of missiles streak toward the battleship, aimed with precision and backed by centuries of military experience. But the response from the human ship is immediate and devastating. The Titan's shields flare briefly, absorbing the attack with ease, as if it were nothing more than a minor annoyance. And then, the humans retaliate. The battleship's weapons come online, unleashing a torrent of firepower that cuts through the Council's fleet with terrifying efficiency. Ships that had stood as pillars of the Council's military might are reduced to debris in moments. The human technology is far more advanced than anything the Council had imagined. Energy weapons that bypass shields, missiles that track and destroy targets with unparalleled accuracy, and a ship so heavily armored that nothing seems to penetrate it. The Council's fleets, once considered invincible, crumble under the assault. Inside the Council chambers, there is chaos. Messages flood in from the fleet commanders, each one more desperate than the last. Ships are falling, and they have no answers for the human onslaught. The Council members argue, their once calm and measured debates now reduced to frantic shouting. Some demand immediate retaliation with their most destructive weapons, while others push for surrender, recognizing the hopelessness of the situation. But one thing is clear to everyone present: humanity has returned, and they are not the weak, forgotten race the Council once dismissed. As the battle rages, it becomes increasingly apparent that this is not just a display of military power. Humanity is sending a message. They could have obliterated the Council's fleets in seconds, but instead, they are dismantling them piece by piece, making sure every ship knows the futility of resistance. It's a show of force, a calculated display designed to break the Council's will before the real conflict even begins. The Council orders more ships into the fight, but it's a losing battle. The human battleship moves with precision, targeting key vessels, crippling communication arrays, and leaving the fleet in disarray. Even the most advanced ships in the Council's arsenal are rendered ineffective, their weapons useless against the Titan's impenetrable defenses. The gap between human and Council technology is staggering, and the Council is forced to confront a bitter truth. They are no longer the dominant force in the galaxy. Amidst the chaos, a message from the human battleship cuts through the static. It's brief, simple, and to the point: surrender, or face total destruction. There is no offer of negotiation, no room for diplomacy. Humanity is here for one purpose, and they are making it clear that they will not be stopped. The Council members stare at the message, stunned into silence. For centuries, they have dictated terms to the rest of the galaxy. Now, for the first time, someone else holds the power. The Council is paralyzed. Half of their fleet is gone, and the human battleship hasn't even taken damage. The members look at each other, fear in their eyes. They know that if they refuse, they will be annihilated. But surrendering to humanity, the race they had once betrayed and abandoned, is unthinkable. The weight of their past decisions presses down on them, the arrogance that led them to this point now a bitter pill to swallow. In a desperate attempt to turn the tide, the Council authorizes the use of their most destructive weapon, a superweapon capable of wiping out entire fleets in one strike. It's a last resort, a weapon they had hoped never to use. But now, with their survival at stake, they see no other option. The weapon is powered up, targeting the Titan, and the Council waits with bated breath. But as the weapon fires, humanity's technological superiority is once again made clear. A massive energy shield envelopes the Titan, absorbing the blast without so much as a flicker. The Council watches in horror as their greatest weapon, the pinnacle of their military power, is rendered useless. And then, the human battleship retaliates. The Council's most powerful ships are obliterated in an instant. Explosions ripple through space as the human weapons tear through the fleet, leaving nothing but wreckage in their wake. The capital planet, once considered the safest place in the galaxy, now sits vulnerable, its defenses in ruins. The Council is out of options. Their fleets are gone, their weapons ineffective, and the human battleship remains, unscathed and looming ever closer. The Council members know what comes next. The humans have given them a choice: surrender, or face extinction. And as they look at the devastation unfolding before them, they realize that their time has come. The human battleship looms over the Council's capital planet, an unstoppable force, casting a dark shadow across the Council chambers. The final remnants of the fleet are shattered, leaving nothing but silence where once there had been the hum of power. The Council members, once confident and secure in their dominion, now sit in a stunned silence. Every move they've made has failed. Every attempt to resist has only resulted in more destruction. And now, there is nothing left between them and humanity's judgment. The message from the human battleship hangs in the air, lingering in the minds of every Council member. Surrender or be destroyed. It's not just a demand, it's an inevitability. The Council has always been the one to dictate terms, the one to set the rules. But now, for the first time, they are on the receiving end of an ultimatum. And they know, deep down, that humanity isn't bluffing. In the chambers, the tension is thick. The members glance at each other, their faces betraying the fear they've tried to suppress. Some of them still cling to the belief that there must be another way, that perhaps a hidden reserve of ships or a secret weapon could turn the tide. But they know the truth. Humanity has outclassed them at every turn. The Council, for all its power and prestige, is no longer the supreme force in the galaxy. One of the senior members stands, voice trembling but defiant, calling for a last-ditch effort to negotiate, to appeal to humanity's sense of reason. But the room is divided. Others argue that humanity isn't here to negotiate, they're here for revenge. They know what humanity suffered, the betrayal that led them to this point. Centuries of abandonment, of isolation, have hardened them, and now, They have returned to exact a price the Council never imagined paying. Another message arrives from the Titan. This time, it's not just a warning. It's a list. Names of Council members, each one associated with the decision to betray humanity all those years ago. Some of those members are long dead, but others still sit in this very room, their past decisions coming back to haunt them. The message is clear: humanity remembers. And they are not here for blanket vengeance. They want justice, personal and specific. The Council feels the weight of that list, each name a reminder of their failure. They realize now that humanity's vengeance isn't just about the present, it's about settling old scores. The message is more than just a demand for surrender, it's an indictment of the Council's arrogance, their belief that they could cast aside an entire species without consequence. The debate rages on. Some demand a fight to the last breath, insisting that surrender would mean the end of the Council, the end of their reign over the galaxy. But others are more pragmatic. The Council, as it stands, is already finished. Humanity's power is undeniable. Even if they resist, even if they somehow manage to survive this day, the galaxy has seen their weakness. Their authority is broken, their fleets decimated, and their technology outmatched. Surrendering to humanity, while unthinkable just days ago, is now the only way to avoid total annihilation. The message from the Titan is simple. The Council will be dissolved, its members held accountable for their crimes against humanity, or the planet will be destroyed. There is no room for negotiation. Humanity doesn't care about preserving the Council's legacy, about finding a peaceful resolution. They want justice. They want revenge. And they have the power to take it. The senior members realize they have no choice. The reality they once controlled has slipped away. The Council's fall is inevitable, and the best they can hope for now is to negotiate the terms of their surrender, to perhaps salvage something from the wreckage of their authority. But as they prepare to send their response, another message arrives from the Titan. This time, it's not a demand. It's a declaration. Humanity is not just here to dismantle the Council, they are here to reshape the galaxy. The Council, in its arrogance, believed that it was the pinnacle of civilization, the force that held the galaxy together. But now, humanity makes it clear, they will be the new power in the galaxy. Not through politics or diplomacy, but through sheer strength and determination. The old order is finished, and a new one will rise, forged in the fires of betrayal and revenge. The Council members stare at the message, realizing that this is not just the end of their reign, it's the end of an era. Everything they've built, everything they've worked for, is being swept away by the force of humanity's return. And there is nothing they can do to stop it. The decision is made. There will be no more resistance. They will surrender. But even as they send their message of capitulation, they know that this is just the beginning. Humanity's return has changed the galaxy forever. The Council's fall will not be the last of the upheaval. The galaxy will descend into chaos as new powers rise and old alliances crumble. And at the center of it all, humanity will stand as the force that toppled the most powerful institution in the galaxy, not through politics or diplomacy, but through sheer will. The final message from the Council is sent, acknowledging their defeat, their surrender. The chamber falls silent. Outside, the Titan hovers above the planet, unmoving, as if waiting for the galaxy to acknowledge humanity's ascendance. The Council members, once rulers of the galaxy, are now prisoners in their own chamber, waiting for humanity to decide their fate.